Boridar or Pronoundar, every pony. This is BronyDan. It's not original, but hey, you try coming up with originality these days. Now, many may remember last year when I reviewed the My Little Pony Abridged series, Ultra Fast Pony. I stand by the argument that I made when I said that it was better than Friendship is Witchcraft and the Mentally Advanced series. Due to the jokes being better written, the characters were actually funny, some of the new twists on certain episodes were really clever, and I got some confirmation from Wickham himself saying that his cynical views on Season 3, which did worry me, were just exaggerations of the fans' views, so that's nice. But recently, there's been another abridged series that has snuck up from nowhere and is gaining a lot of fans. And that is My Little Pony Scootertrix the Abridged. Well, okay, it hasn't just sprung up from nowhere. It has been going on for about 2 years now, but it has only made 18 episodes so far. But with those episodes alone, people are actually saying that this may actually take the place of being the best abridged series of the show. Now, I am not a biased man, but if anyone thinks that this series is better than Ultra Fast Pony, they are clearly insane. I mean, how can you top an episode that was dedicated to Edgar Allan Poe? I mean, unless you do an episode that follows the events of Dragonshy, where they shows off the main six's adventures going back down the mountain after defeating the dragon. Okay, that is quite clever. And how there is an overarching plot that threads throughout the whole series and is quite compelling with the different turns and character motivations and... Okay, I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but yeah, there is a lot in this series that surprisingly surpasses the others that came before it. Yes, as I mentioned, this one has a story arc that runs all the way through it. So that's 1 point it has against Friendship is Witchcraft. The dialogue scenes are entertaining and don't overstay their welcome. 1 point against the Mentally Advanced series, with characters that are all around memorable and likeable. Okay, I'll give him half a point against Ultra Fast Pony. So the Scootertrix Abridged series was created by Scootertrix Studios, makes sense, and were all written by Jack Gitchman, who also provided the voices for nearly all of the characters. And after watching all of these episodes, I'm going to assume that this guy is a fan of war. Or at the very least, war tactics and war stories. Because that seems to be the focus of this series, where Equestria is on the verge of war with the Crystal Empire and the Changelings, and Celestia basically has the elements of harmony deal with anything that can be considered a threat. Like taking care of parasprites, which in this version are in fact a biological weapon. It also has some parallels with some actual real-life military tactics.
We send in everything, absolutely everything, at Sombra. Take him out of the picture. With the entire Equestrian army, we can wipe him out with ease. Then, when Sombra is defeated, we send everything back down to the south and fight the war against Chrysalis. I'll call it the Schlieffen Pony Plan.
Okay, if you never studied World War I in school, then that joke is gonna go over your head, but for history buffs like myself, we're all laughing our asses off at this. Although, to be fair, the war angle doesn't come into it until later, and admittedly, this is one of the weaknesses of the series. Like UFP, it takes a while for it to get a firm grasp of what it wants to do, so the first few episodes just feel like they're trying to do what Wickarb's done, just to double the length. It also makes it a bit more difficult since the characters aren't exactly that strong at the beginning. So don't get me wrong, I enjoy the characters now because I've seen how they've developed, but in those first few episodes, yeah, I couldn't really get behind them. Twilight is like most versions of Twilight in a Abridged series. She's the intelligent one, but is stuck in a town full of complete nutters, so she's the least interesting. Spike is, I suppose, there to point out minor details in the actual show that people had questions about for ages.
Can you rig the system? Rig the system? What on earth are you talking about? Let's say you have a kid, and you name her ruler of Equestria. She would get her cutie mark based on her name, which would be like Equestrian or Hoof or something. And then That'd be her talent. She would rule Equestria. No. You know, you can actually solve a lot of world problems that way.
Applejack is more or less the same as she is in the show, except she believes she's growing mangoes instead of apples.
To stop the curse.
Yeah, this joke was dropped early. Rainbow Dash sounds like she's been hanging around with William Shatner because of all the pauses she has in her dialogue, and she prefers to go by the Bird.
Why are you called the Bird? So that there's no confusion.
Fluttershy is basically Hudson from Aliens.
Well, it is scary, man, and I'm not doing it. Oh my God, how have you survived this long?
Game over, man. It's game over.
Wow,
And Pinky is the sane one, while also having control over the fourth wall, meaning that she can tell what is going on in the episode. Rarity is the most interesting in this one. In the beginning, she was probably my least favourite. Maybe it was the voice or the way she talked, but I just couldn't stand her. But now, she's the character with the most depth and character development. I won't give it away, but let's say it's a cool twist. But the highlight of each episode is when you hear... because that's when you know we're gonna be getting a Celestia and Luna scene. The banter between these two is brilliant. They're like Morecambe and Wise or the two Ronnies. They just bounce off of each other with ease, and the comic timing is brilliant. But I've saved the best characters for last, and because this is an MLP Abridged series, we all know who it is.
Lou, Belle, this is my good friend Lieutenant Tiara. We went to the academy together.
Yep, it's the CMC, acting as Princess Celestia's chief generals. Applebloom is the typical British officer that all Americans think British officers are like. Scootaloo is a cross between Batman and the Joker, and Sweetie Belle is just high on helium.
Nice to meet you too.
I think with these three you can see why the war plot works, because you can do anything with different characters, like, I don't know, have Iron Will as a drill sergeant.
Now you listen to me, lovely boys. When you is marching through those frozen peaks, just remember, your university education will not mean one jot, will it not?
No, Sergeant Major.
I know, Sergeant Major. Which is why, to prepare you for these harsh natures, I'm going to be having you marching up and down this parade ground so much your feet won't touch the ground!
Okay, I might be going off track again, but it's just for the purpose of showing how creative this series can be. Would I say it's the best Abridged series? Well, in terms of story, then yes. It's well written, the jokes are funny, and there is interesting character motivations. But in terms of which I enjoyed the most out of entertainment, I would still have to go with Ultra Fast Pony. It just appeals to me more with its comedy, but I still say that Scootertrix Abridged series is certainly up there alongside it as the best Abridged series this fandom has got. And I do hope that Jack continues with this series.
But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
I'm kidding. I don't have that kind of power.